Right now at 5, Grateful Dead fans from all over the country have arrived in San Francisco for a weekend full of fun.
Just the spirit and love and the peace that the Grateful Dead brought to us all these years has culminated into a 60th anniversary that's going to be absolutely an explosion of love.
We're talking to longtime Deadheads and local business owners about what they're most looking forward to. And tens of thousands of Californians are waiting to find out if they're going to lose their food benefits because of the president's so-called Big Beautiful Bill, the potential impact on Bay Area families and the organizations working to help them. And a decade after a Bay Area woman was kidnapped and sexually assaulted, we're getting our first look at her attacker's chilling confession, the newly released tapes, and how the case eventually uncovered a series of other crimes.
Tied them up, went to the son's room, woke him up. There's very good reason if they didn't report it.
Plus, we're going to meet a Bay Area professor whose home generates all the power that it needs and more. Could it be a blueprint for energy independence?
CBS News Bay Area Evening Edition with Ryan Yamamoto.
Hi, I'm Devin Feely, and for Ryan tonight, right now, a huge weekend full of tributes to Grateful Dead fans in San Francisco is kicking into high gear. People from all over the country are gathering at Golden Gate Park for 3 days of concerts. Take a look at this. The panhandle near the park has been taken over by VW buses and other cars, all of them adorned with Grateful Dead decals. The first night of concerts just got underway about an hour ago. Dial in, talk to music fans and local business owners who hope to keep the party going all weekend long. Doc?
Yeah, Devin, the concert has begun. Perhaps you can even hear the live music in the background. Opening act Billy Strings is playing right now. The Dead and Company will perform later on this evening. Right now, it is pretty packed, and more folks are filing in. As you can see, this is one of the entrances to the polo field here in the Golden Gate Park. A lot of folks going in. The venue, as I understand it, is sold out, and that's great news for the surrounding businesses.
That's what we call you.
Some are singing, others are patiently waiting in line as hundreds of Deadheads showed up hours before the gates even opened at Golden Gate Park.
I came from Denver, Colorado.
And you?
Came from Florida via West Virginia.
Bruce Anderson and Wade Emmerich have attended hundreds of Grateful Dead and related shows over the past 5 decades. They weren't going to miss this one.
It's the 60th anniversary, and right here is where it all began. And so I wanted to come here and just pay homage.
The Haight-Ashbury district is where the Dead became legends. On Friday morning, the streets were filled with fans, and that's music to the ears of small businesses like Psychedelic SF Art Gallery.
I started off as a young Deadhead collecting art in the parking lot and never imagined I'd have an art gallery on Haight Street.
The owner, Magic Mike, says his love for the Dead became his livelihood. He's collected Grateful Dead memorabilia for years, and some of the artwork in his gallery comes from his personal collection.
What we have here is a Rick Griffin Oxa Grateful Dead album cover, hand carved out of wood, 8 feet tall, it weighs 600 pounds.
Small businesses say they've seen a big spike in foot traffic over the past few days, with sales up by as much as 20%.
It's catapulted like crazy. All the Deadheads are in here spending a bunch of money. It's great.
I've actually extended my hours, opened early. I'm definitely going to stay open late.
Many have brought in extra staff and stocked up on inventory to meet the demand.
Feels like the city is really coming back to life, which is nice.
Bruce and Wade say you can't put a price tag on the good vibes, love, and peace they're experiencing.
A priority to be here, and money's not really the issue.
I'm happy to give my dollars to this special piece of freedom and love.
Start thinking about your eternity. God bless you all.
Yeah, eternal love. It's almost like the Summer of Love 2.0 here in San Francisco. Now, if you don't already have a ticket to come out here, it might be wise to avoid this area because traffic is nuts out here. A lot of blocked driveways, so a lot of towed cars as well. Best way to get out here would be public transit and rideshare if you really need to get out here. Security also very tight, a lot of police officers. In fact, at each entrance into the area, into the venue, there are these vehicle barriers preventing vehicles from driving in there, but also a lot of police officers in this area. For now, live here in San Francisco, I'll send it back to you, Devin.
All right, Don, the man for the job. Thank you. And as part of the festivities, San Francisco is renaming a street in honor of legendary Grateful Dead frontman Jerry Garcia. This morning, Mayor Daniel Lurie joined Garcia's daughter to celebrate what would have been his 83rd birthday. Crews revealed the new street sign, renaming a stretch of Harrington Street between Alameda Boulevard and Mission Street, just steps away from where he once lived. Now, the celebration of the rock and roll icon continues tomorrow with Jerry Day with musical performances at the Jerry Garcia Amphitheater in McLaren Park. And it's all about country in the South Bay. Tonight, country music star Morgan Wallen is set to kick off his first of two shows at Levi's Stadium. Fans from all around California and beyond have been pouring into Levi's today, hours before showtime. One of those fans, Adrian, says that loving country music runs in his family, and his daughter Genesis told us how excited they are for the concert tonight.
Yeah, the music, of course, and because my daughter here absolutely loves him since she was 2 years old.
It's my 7th birthday. I love you, Morgan Wallen.
Morgan Wallen will be joined by some other big names in country, Miranda Lambert and Brooks and Dunn. The second show kicks off tomorrow at 4:30 in the afternoon. With all of the outdoor activities this weekend, let's head to First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Hagan to find out if the weather is going to cooperate.
Yeah, you see the camera shaking around a little bit there as we look down towards Levi's Stadium. Current temperatures, well, we have our usual range that we expect here in early August. 50s and 60s at the coast, 60s and 70s around the bay, and a lot of 80s farther inland. But currently in San Jose, it's only 75 degrees, so temperatures in the Santa Clara Valley aren't all that cool. Let's take a look at the forecast if you were heading out to one of those concerts as we head through the next couple of days. And we will start in San Jose for the Morgan Wallen shows. Temperatures tomorrow just a little warmer thanks to that earlier start time, but temperatures should be coasting down into the low 70s. Should see plenty of sunshine in San Jose, but the foggest weather is definitely going to be present at Golden Gate Park. For Dead & Company, temperatures only in the upper 50s, so make sure you layer up appropriately. The rest of the Bay Area is going to be also close to what's typical for this time of year. Temperatures within a degree or so on either side of what's average for the first half of the weekend. A little baby cool down kicks in for the second half of the weekend as stronger onshore winds return. We'll track those and look at the full 7-day forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Paul. President Trump's new tariffs are sending shockwaves through the global economy as the latest jobs report raises concerns about the state of things here at home. Those tariffs will affect dozens of U.S. trading partners, with taxes on goods from some countries topping 40%. Now, these are the most aggressive import taxes in the U.S. in nearly a century. Today's jobs report shows the market is slowing down significantly. The Labor Department says that U.S. employers added 73,000 jobs in July. That is lower than expected. There were also huge revisions to the May and to the June numbers. They showed that the U.S. added 88% fewer jobs than first thought. Following that news, President Trump called for the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics to be fired. That is the agency that produces the jobs report.
Before the election, I had a similar problem. I mean, she gave out numbers that were so good for the Democrats. It was like unbelievable.
The chickens are coming home to roost on Donald Trump's destructive trade war, and the American people are paying the price.
Top Democrats point to the jobs report as evidence that the tariffs are already having an impact. The Trump administration says that trade talks with top trade partners Mexico and China are ongoing. And stocks tumbled today due to the new tariffs and the jobs report. The Dow lost more than 500 points, the biggest single-day drop in more than a month. The S&P 500 had its worst day since May, and the Nasdaq lost more than 470 points, the biggest loss since April. In the meantime, many people who rely on food assistance are wondering if they're going to lose out on their benefits. The massive budget spending bill that was signed by President Trump is set to make significant cuts to the SNAP program. That's a program that was formerly known as food stamps. According to the California Budget and Policy Center, about 175,000 residents in the Bay Area are at risk of losing their benefits. Max Darrow talked to a mother who relies on that assistance to feed her family.
After another long night shift,
Soy janitor en la noche.
working as an overnight janitor, Deanna is back to work with the full-time job that gives her purpose, parenting. She's doing some prep work for tonight's dinner.
A mis niñas les gusta con arroz.
She and her husband both work to support their 3 kids, who are 5, 10, and 17, who all live together in this small San Jose apartment. But even with the both of them working,
Es difícil.
it's difficult, she says, to pay for basic necessities. So, like many families, hers is buoyed by SNAP, known as CalFresh locally. Food stamps help her buy the essentials.
Todo tipo de frutas, verduras.
Fruits, veggies, and meat, so she can cook every meal. Going out to eat isn't really an option.
Si yo no tuviera CalFresh,
She says if she didn't have food assistance, she'd have to get another job just so her family could live paycheck to paycheck. And like many SNAP recipients across America right now, that thought is top of mind for Deanna.
That was a good one.
The Trump administration's so-called Big Beautiful Bill, which GOP lawmakers passed by a narrow margin, including a tie-breaking vote in the Senate by Vice President J.D. Vance.
The bill as amended is passed.
Slashes billions of dollars in federal funding for SNAP. Over time, it will shift the bulk of the financial responsibility to individual states. The Trump administration says SNAP has failed those who truly need it, and the move will eliminate fraud, waste, and abuse. However, Leslie Bacho, the CEO of Second Harvest of Silicon Valley, says otherwise.
SNAP is the most effective anti-hunger program, and this is the largest cut in the history of the program.
Bacho says more than 100,000 households in Santa Clara and San Mateo counties receive SNAP benefits. If these benefits are, in fact, cut, how do you think that will affect the food bank?
Well, we know that when SNAP benefits are cut, our lines get longer.
And the timing couldn't be worse for food banks, currently trying to do more with less to serve a historic level of need. Bacho says Second Harvest currently serves about 500,000 people a month, from those living paycheck to children to seniors on fixed incomes.
It's going to be tough. There's no doubt about it. It's impossible to replace this kind of federal funding. I mean, we need real policy change, but until that happens, the burden is going to fall to the philanthropic sector. The burden is going to fall to all of us to decide how to take care of our neighbors.
Nothing has changed yet. Deanna says she's nervous and has a lot of questions.
Sí estoy preocupada, pero
However, she says she knows SNAP's future is out of her control. She hopes her situation doesn't change. But if it does, she says she'll do what she needs to do to ensure her family has food in the fridge.
¿Qué no te lo parto?
And in the present moment, she'll remain grateful for the status quo.
Second Harvest is urging people who are currently eligible to still apply for and continue using their SNAP benefits. They have a multilingual team who can answer questions and people may have about the changes moving forward. Coming up, with Tesla's self-driving technology already under the microscope here in California, a jury has ordered the automaker to pay more than $200 million in connection with a deadly crash.
We can be proud that we stood up and that we did everything in our power to help shine light on what's going on with these cars.
Plus, we're going to hear from a valet who heard gunfire, went running into danger during a mass shooting at a Reno resort.
It was more just an instinct, and I would do it again.
The outpouring of gratitude from the family of the man that he saved. And after years of debate, a project is underway to provide the public with better access to a scenic stretch of shoreline along the bay. After a long battle to expand access to a scenic stretch of shoreline in the East Bay is now underway. We're talking about an extension of Point Mulate Bay Trail in Richmond that will connect Point Mulate Beach Park to the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge. Point Mulate was once the site of a U.S. Navy fuel depot and has been at the center of decades of debate over potential development and preserving the outdoor space for the public. Last year, the Park District paid $40 million to a local tribe for that land. Now, more than a year later, the East Bay Regional Park District broke ground today on the new 2.5-mile trail extension. Developers say the project is all about community and accessibility.
It's not just about building a trail, it's about creating opportunities for everyone to enjoy the beauty and history of this special place.
The trail extension project includes a 600-foot boardwalk and interpretive panels highlighting the natural and cultural history of the area. We're getting some new perspective on the power of that 8.8 magnitude earthquake that triggered tsunami alerts across the Pacific. The earthquake's epicenter was off of Russia's east coast, and even though we couldn't feel it, some sensitive seismic instruments were able to detect the earthquake waves as they rippled across North America. Now, this is animation from the EarthScope Consortium. It shows the waves surging across the continent, starting at Alaska's Aleutian Islands. Now, this was sped up in real time. Each dot on the screen there is a seismic station. The red means the ground moved up. Blue means it moved down. All right, so joining us now is Chief Meteorologist Paul Hagan. It has been a busy week in terms of that tsunami warning, the weather, when we've got a full weekend of concerts. So.
Right, and fortunately, the weather looks pretty cooperative. I mean, you expect the fog at Golden Gate Park. It's just kind of par
You
for the
can't
course.
blame San Francisco for being foggy in the summer.
They wouldn't have it any other way for Dave and Company. Let's take a look at what else you need to know as we head into the first weekend in August. Of course, we're talking about the temperatures returning to closer to normal levels. Here's a view from the Treasure Island camera towards the Bay Bridge and a little bit of Yerba Buena Island there as well. We are going to see some of that fog and coastal drizzle. In fact, a lot of fog as we head through the rest of tonight. The drizzle not likely to add up to anything more than a trace of moisture, but we did see enough of that on several different occasions to add up just short of 1/10 of an inch of total moisture during the entire month of July in San Francisco, which makes it one of the wettest Julys on record. Temperatures are going to warm up in the afternoons. It is going to become more breezy by the second half of the weekend, which means Sunday will be the slightly cooler half of the weekend. That won't last long. We are in for an inland warming trend as we head through the rest of next week. After that very cool month of July. This is the calendar for July for San Jose, and high temperatures only reached up to above average levels on 6 different occasions in the entire month of July. Only one more day where we had an exactly normal high temperature. So all of these blue squares add up to below average highs. And in fact, if you ranked each month of July in San Jose dating back to the early 1900s, just by average high temperature, this was the 5th coolest on record. So it was an unusually chilly month of July, but now we're going to be climbing as we head into next week. San Jose's temperature is only getting up into the middle portion of the 80s from Tuesday through likely the second weekend of July, but other inland parts of the Bay Area more likely to climb up into the 90s. But that's still a few days away. In the short term, we are going to have a noticeable onshore breeze, especially on Sunday. Tomorrow, most of the wind gusts are going to be in the 20 to 25 mile an hour range. More 25 to 30 mile an hour gusts. And a little bit earlier in the day on Sunday, that's going to knock us down to about 5 degrees below average for both Sunday and Monday. But again, it won't last long. There is the fog spreading out already. Wide range in temperatures, which is what we expect on the 1st of August, anywhere from 61 degrees in San Francisco to 84 degrees right now in Concord. Those numbers will all even out. Most of us will end up in the 50s by early tomorrow morning, which again is where we are supposed to be. Let's track the fog as we head through the night. The fog is going to push across the bay and make a pretty good intrusion into the inland valleys, but it's not going to last long there, pulling back towards the coast as we head towards midday. By noon, the fog is going to be largely clearing out over San Francisco, but it's going to take a little bit longer for you to see much sunshine breaking through at the coast. Likely not going to happen until we get the hotter temperatures inland. So high temperatures tomorrow, pretty much everybody within a degree or two of what's normal for this time of year, mostly in the 80s in the Santa Clara Valley, exactly 80 in San Jose, into the upper 80s around Morgan Hill, with temperatures east of the Oakland Hills, mostly 80s, all the way up to 90 degrees around Antioch and Brentwood. It's not bad for early August. 60s at the coast with a mix of 60s and 70s around the bay, and mostly 80s for the North Bay as well until you go farther inland. Our usual hotspot in Healdsburg will be the hotspot by tomorrow afternoon, reaching up into the mid-90s. Let's check out 7-day forecast, and we do have that warming trend that is going to be very noticeable by the latter half of the forecast, up into the at least lower half of the 90s on a widespread basis from Tuesday through Friday of next week, which is a noticeable warm-up, but it's far from record territory. In August, those inland records are in the order of 110 to 115 in spots, so at least we're going to be well short of that. Temperatures around the bay also warming up, but more modestly, only up into the mid to upper 70s for most of next week. And temperatures at the coast, while they do warm up, what you're really going to notice is a break from what was gray sky July to foggist weather to a mix of clouds and sunshine in the forecast by Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week, with temperatures even climbing a little farther into the 60s. Devin?
All right, thank you, Paul. And still ahead at 5. For decades, he terrorized women all across the Bay Area. Now we're getting our first look at the moments when Matthew Mueller admitted to his horrible crimes. Plus, Tesla ordered to pay more than $200 million in connection with a deadly crash, the case that could prompt a rash of new lawsuits.
posting on their official Twitter this weekend, "Don't worry about driving, the car will drive yourself," while their lawyers are sitting in a courtroom saying, "This is a driver assistance feature. No one could possibly think that the vehicle drives itself."
San Mateo police say a driver who ran a red light caused a crash that killed a mother and injured her 2 young children. Police say it happened just after 6 p.m. yesterday in the area of Alameda de las Pulgas and Highway 92. Officers say that a man driving a Ford SUV was exiting Highway 92 on the off-ramp when he ran the red light and broadsided a Prius going northbound. A 30-year-old woman was killed in that crash. Her 5- and 7-year-old boys were hospitalized in critical but stable condition. Police are saying that the driver was not impaired. They are still trying to figure out why he ran the red light. Tesla has been ordered to pay more than $200 million after a jury found its autopilot technology was partly to blame for a deadly crash in the Florida Keys. This is video of that crash. It was recorded in 2019. It shows the Tesla Model X speed past a stop sign and crashed into a parked SUV, hitting a couple. The driver says that he took his eyes off the road to look for a dropped cell phone. Now, the driver was hospitalized while his girlfriend was killed. Now, he blames Tesla for misleading its customers about the effectiveness of its autopilot technology.
They were posting on their official Twitter this weekend, "Don't worry about driving, the car will drive yourself," while their lawyers are sitting in a courtroom saying, "This is a driver assistance feature. No one could possibly think that the vehicle drives itself." That's irresponsible.
Tesla had argued that the driver bared sole responsibility for the crash. The case is a rare win for victims of accidents involving autopilot. Tesla is on the hook for $200 million in punitive damages and another $43 million in compensation to the plaintiffs. Tesla issued a statement saying, in part, quote, "Today's verdict is wrong and only works to set back automotive safety and jeopardize Tesla and the entire industry's efforts to develop and implement life-saving technology." It comes as the company is facing a legal challenge to its autopilot technology here in California. The DMV is suing Tesla, alleging that it falsely advertised its cars as, quote, full self-driving when it does not yet have those capabilities. Tesla says it has always kept buyers informed that they cannot fully rely on its autopilot features. If the court with the DMV sides with the DMV, Tesla could be barred from selling in the state of California for at least 30 days. We're hearing from a valet worker who risked his life during the mass shooting at a casino in Reno. The family of one of the victims expressed their gratitude today for his bravery. Matt Silter ran for safety after he was shot twice during the rampage at the Grand Sierra Resort on Monday. That's when Cade Macedo stepped in. He jumped out of his vehicle and grabbed Silter. The valet was able to hail paramedics to take him to the hospital after he collapsed.
Honestly, I don't look at it as being heroic. It was more of just an instinct. It was more just an instinct, and I would do it again.
I love you. I love you, man. I love you for saving my nephew.
All right, so here's the good news. Sittler is expected to make a full recovery. 3 people were killed in that shooting. The suspect, who was shot after exchanging gunfire with police, died of his injuries this week. A motive is still unknown. Up next, a chilling confession from a man who terrorized women across the Bay Area.
I ordered them out of the tent. I told them I had a gun. I believe I tied them both.
The new perspective on the crime spree that launched a popular Netflix series. In recent years, beaches at Lake Tahoe have had huge issues with trash and overcrowding. The new plan to reduce the waste and the headache for visitors. Plus, California's energy grid is making significant progress in its transition to renewables. We're going to talk to a Bay Area professor about how we can do the same for our own homes.
Built this home from scratch. It's all electric. There's no gas on the property.
The Bay Area Concert Calendar, brought to you by Live Nation.
Don't miss Heart's Royal Flush Tour with special guest Todd Rundgren, August 10th. Tickets on sale now. And then head to the Toyota Pavilion at Concord for Uncle Charlie's R&B Cookout Tour. Get tickets at livenation.com. The Bay Area Concert Calendar brought to you by Live Nation.
And right now at 5:30, a decade after a Bay Area couple was falsely accused of concocting a kidnapping hoax, we're hearing the confession of the man now in prison for that disturbing crime. In 2015, Vallejo police accused Denise Huskin and her boyfriend Aaron Quinn of lying to them about her kidnapping and her rape. But it was all in fact true. Their story was chronicled in a popular Netflix special called American Nightmare. After their ordeal, Denise and Aaron turned into amateur detectives and helped get their attacker to eventually admit to similar crimes. CBS California Investigates correspondent Julie Watts has the recordings of those confessions.
You're about to hear never-before-released cold case confessions recorded during recent in-custody interviews with Matthew Mueller, the serial predator who kidnapped Denise Huskin and has now confessed to decades of similar home invasions and sexual assaults.
We're back in Tahoe, not far from where this all started. What's it like for you to be in this room this close to where you were held hostage?
Yeah. At a law enforcement conference in South Lake Tahoe.
It's bittersweet to be able to be here and reclaim this as something positive.
The woman once discredited by authorities is now helping to train them, alongside her now husband Aaron Quinn and the two officers who finally believed them.
She's dead.
Together, this team helped solve at least 4 cold case crimes this year. Crimes that may have been solved a decade ago if only someone had listened sooner.
They did not come into your house and kidnap her and take her for ransom.
March 2015, intruders did blindfold and drug the couple in their Vallejo home, then kidnapped, raped, and held Denise for ransom while police falsely accused Aaron of killing her.
Okay, how do I make it so you look like a monster?
Instead of searching for the kidnapper,
it is Mr. Quinn and Ms. Huskins that owes this community an apology.
When the kidnapper released Denise, police accused the couple of orchestrating a hoax.
The members of our community are safe.
They weren't.
The real tragedy is now we know there's 2 other families that Mueller terrorized and attacked.
2 months later, their attackers struck again in nearby Dublin, California, leading police to Matthew Mueller's Tahoe cabin, where he held Denise captive. 1 month later, Denise and Aaron were finally vindicated. Mueller was sentenced to 40 years in federal prison, but the nightmare wasn't over.
At one point, he laid down on the bed next to me and then just started telling me how he...
2015 interrogation recordings revealed Denise warned investigators a decade ago that Mueller told her there were other victims.
Like you said, they've probably done this before.
But for 10 years, they couldn't get anyone to investigate. Then, last year's most-watched Netflix docuseries chronicled Denise and Aaron's American Nightmare. And small-town Seaside Police Chief Nick Borges reached out to them on Instagram.
Denise was first to respond back to me.
What began as a conversation soon became a mission to bring closure to Mueller's other victims.
But I remember her saying, but we're not law enforcement, what do we do? And that's kind of where I said, well, let me try to help.
So, working with Denise, Aaron, and Misty, he wrote directly to Matthew Mueller. For the first time, we're showing you Mueller's cold case confessions from behind bars, limited excerpts to protect victim privacy and ongoing investigations. First, Mueller confessed in a letter to 2 home invasion attempted rapes in Santa Clara County in 2009. Police questioned Mueller at the time, but said they didn't have enough evidence to charge him. Despite similarities to Denise's case 7 years later, they never reopened those cold cases or retested Mueller's DNA.
It's fair to say that there are things that we would do differently and do better today. That's because of the Quinns.
This year, Santa Clara County DA Jeff Rosen finally tested Mueller's DNA. When Mueller was finally sentenced to 2 life terms for those 16-year-old crimes,
it came the week of the 10-year anniversary of our kidnapping. So it was very wow, just looking back and all that we had gone through and everything that it took to get to this place.
And that was just the beginning. Next, Mueller confessed to an unreported 2015 home invasion robbery in Contra Costa County, just 2 weeks after he released Denise and months before he was arrested.
Tied them up, went to the son's room, woke him up.
In recorded confessions, Mueller describes how he convinced the family to keep the crime a secret, threatening his accomplices would find and harm their kids.
There's very good reason if they didn't go for it.
Contra Costa DA Dinah Becton stresses this one wasn't a cold case.
We had no knowledge that they had suffered this horrible crime.
They found the victims still living in fear from a crime that wouldn't have even been investigated without Denise and Aaron and the officers who finally believed them. Mueller got another life sentence, but his confessions didn't end there.
One of the most striking things is finding out how young he was when he started.
Mueller describes in chilling detail how he ambushed a couple camping in Sacramento County back in 1993 when he was still a teen.
I ordered them out of the tent. I told them I had a gun. I believe I tied them both.
Last month, Sacramento County DA Tin Ho secured a 4th life sentence for Mueller. The culmination of 6 crimes, more than a dozen victims, 32 years of unanswered questions and justice delayed. But thanks to Denise and Aaron, they were not forgotten. Denise and Aaron are now working with law enforcement to sponsor legislation that they hope will address some of the failings highlighted by their case. For instance, Denise's rape kit wasn't even tested until this year. They'd also like to see every officer get better training on how to work with victims and suspects to help solve crimes.
Yesterday, the California District Attorneys Association honored Denise and Aaron as their Witnesses of the Year. Up next, we're going to meet a Bay Area professor who says he hasn't paid an electric bill in nearly a decade.
I use a lot less energy than I produce, and so that extra electricity first gets stored in batteries.
We're going to take a tour of his home for some tips on how to save. And the injury bug has hit the Golden State Valkyries. The key player expected to miss several weeks after the team's lone all-star was shut down for the year. In our original series, Project Earth, we're talking to a climate scientist who says that clean energy is powering California to levels that we have never seen before. And now he is putting his money and his comfort where his mouth is. Juliet Goodridge, she has his story.
On the San Francisco Peninsula, a 2-story, 3,200 square foot home with large picture windows. It must cost a fortune to heat and cool this place, right? Wrong.
To run it, it costs nothing. I have not paid an electric bill in 8 years.
Meet Mark Jacobson. Jacobson is a professor of civil and environmental engineering at Stanford University and a climate scientist.
I built this home from scratch. It's all electric. There's no gas on the property.
This is a zero-net energy house. The home generates as much energy as it consumes. All the energy generated is clean and renewable with no polluting fossil fuels.
My whole goal of my career has been to understand and solve large-scale air pollution and climate problems through clean renewable energy systems.
The house is a light steel frame structure with airtight insulation. On the roof, solar panels. In the garage, a home battery system.
So I'm generating my electricity with solar on the roof, and that solar generates during the day, peaks at around noon. I use a lot less energy than I produce, and so that extra electricity first gets stored in batteries, and then the excess beyond that gets sent to the grid.
As for California's electric grid, it's undergoing a major transition to clean, renewable sources. Since 2021, about 25,000 megawatts of renewables have been added to the supply. That's enough to power nearly 250,000 homes. According to Jacobson's research, so far this year, California has run on 100% wind, water, and solar, most every day, for an average 5 hours a day.
Wind, water, solar this year has supplied 57.4% of all of California's electricity.
Those calculations don't include homes equipped with solar and battery systems.
These are sufficient to provide electricity for my home from solar for 24 hours a day for most of the year.
In addition, Jacobson uses energy-efficient electrical devices, including an induction stove.
It uses 60% less energy than gas. It boils water in half the time as gas. In each zone of the house, we have what's called a ductless mini-split heat pump.
To cool or heat the house, a heat pump transfers heat between the indoors and outdoors.
They use about 75% less energy than gas heaters because they don't actually create heat, they just move it. It looks just like an old water heater.
Then there's a heat pump electric water heater. The temperature set at 129 degrees.
It's got plenty of water for lots of showers.
Jacobson got a federal tax credit as well as a state subsidy. He's also collecting data on his home to help inform others about a combustion-free future.
And still ahead at 5, a new attempt to restore order at one of Tahoe's most popular beaches.
It really is convenient. It's less hassle.
We're going to take a look at how that plan is working so far.
Straight ahead in sports, the W, the Valkyries, win or lose, are making franchise history. And he was number 14, but he's number 1 now. Niners second-year receiver Ricky Pearsall looking to increase his role as a Brock Purdy go-to.
We're on the southern border with the U.S. military on a mission to stop illegal border crossings. The numbers are at historic lows, but what's the price? And Steve Hartman takes us on the road to Georgia to meet a teen who proved the value of his mom's advice: work hard because you don't know who's watching. That's tonight on the CBS Evening News.
And First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Hagan is here. First weekend in August, and a busy weekend at that.
A lot going on. We're kind of hitting the home stretch of summertime here, although for the Bay Area, that means we're just now starting to warm up a little bit because Labor Day, you know, it's going to be hot.
But all these concerts are going to be relatively cool, comfortable.
It's going to be it'll be comfortable in San Jose. It'll be cool, but normally cool at Golden Gate Park. So let's get into what else you can expect as we head into this first weekend of August. And we saw plenty of that fog hanging out along the coast. Pretty much the entire coastline of California socked in with that marine cloud cover. And farther inland, you see these clouds blossoming in the afternoon. More pop-up thunderstorms in the mountains of Northern California, and some of that developing in the Sierra as well. Always have to be concerned about cloud-to-ground lightning strikes and any potential fires getting started now that the vegetation is pretty much reaching peak dryness levels over the next couple of months. We're going to keep an eye on that over the course of the next couple of days. Let's take a look back, though, at the month of July. And in San Francisco, it was unusually cool. Our daytime average high temperatures were about 5 degrees below average on a consistent basis. Only reached up to above average on 2 days, July 10th and then yesterday for the last day of July. Managed to get 3 degrees above normal. There was another handful of days that were exactly average. But even with this much blue on the map, it only ranks in the top 50 coolest Julys on record in San Francisco, dating back to 1850, to around the gold rush. But it was unusually damp, especially the latter half of the month. We registered at least a trace of rainfall on a few days, then added up to just short of 1/10 of an inch of total rainfall, which makes it one of the wettest Julys on record. And it's tied with just 3 years ago in 2022 for the most rainy days, or at least wet days. It's hard to call drizzle full-fledged rain in the month of July in San Francisco. But now all that's in the rearview mirror, except the fog. That is still front and center. Temperatures anywhere from 61 degrees in San Francisco to 84 degrees still in Concord. It did manage to warm back up closer to normal temperatures today, and that's a theme that's going to continue as we head into the weekend. Let's take a look at the local map, and we'll track the fog as we head through the rest of tonight. And like the past several nights, weeks, it's going to make a pretty good push across the bay and into the inland valleys, but it doesn't take long for that fog to retreat. It'll pull back to the coast as we head towards lunchtime tomorrow. I don't think you're going to see much sunshine peeking through those clouds along the coast over the weekend, but there's hope right around the corner that you are going to see a little more sunshine for even coastal communities as we head through much of next week. Where the sun emerges a bit faster, that's of course where temperatures are going to be back pretty much to what's normal for this time of year. I think everybody's going to be within a degree or two on either side of what is average for the second day of August, which means mostly 80s in the Santa Clara Valley, exactly 80 in San Jose, but climbing up to the upper 80s in Morgan Hill. And there will be a handful of 90s on the map. Best chance is going to be far inland around Antioch and Brentwood, getting up to 90 degrees exactly, and upper 80s for Concord and Fairfield. Mix of 60s and 70s around the bay, with mostly 80s for the North Bay. So you go farther inland, again, 94 degrees is going to be the hot spot by tomorrow afternoon. Temperatures are going to take a small little step back on Sunday because the winds are going to be a little bit stronger, and it's still going to be that onshore breeze. It's noticeable today. It'll be noticeable again tomorrow, but the strongest gusts are likely going to be mostly in the 20 to 25 mile an hour range, but that'll kick up a notch on Sunday, especially closer to the coast. That's where we could see some 30 to 40 mile an hour gusts, and even farther inland, more of those gusts approaching 30 miles an hour. So a breezy second half of the weekend. Other than that, though, forecast is pretty problem-free as we head through the 7-day outlook. Temperatures are going to warm up back half of the 7-day forecast, back up to around 90 degrees inland on Tuesday, then mostly into the 90s by Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week. But this is only going to be an inland warm-up, and even there, no extreme heat in store. We will be well short of record territory. Temperatures around the bay will go from the low 70s over the weekend to the mid to upper 70s by Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And at the coast, while you're not going to see a dramatic warm-up, what you are going to see is finally a little more sunshine. Not this weekend, but for most of next week, you're going to see more of a mix of that marine cloud cover and a little more sunshine each day, which will at least make it feel a little bit warmer. Jules is here with a look at what's ahead at 6.
Wait, what's that word? Sunshine?
Warmer?
Warmer? What?
Yeah.
Thank you. Coming up at 6 o'clock, we'll be live with the good vibes for the Grateful Dead tribute concert at Golden Gate Park. We'll meet some business owners who say their wallets are feeling a lot of love from Deadheads. Plus, Transgender History Month kicks off with a rally of defiance against President Trump's rollbacks. We'll hear from activists working to stay positive even as they say their rights are being stripped away. And we will introduce you to a North Bay naturalist who's using high-tech cameras to teach girls in Kenya to better understand the ecosystem around them. So the news at 6 coming up in about 10 minutes. Let's head to Vern for a look at sports.
KPIX Sports is powered by Kia. Learn more at kia.com. Kia, movement that inspires.
49ers up top, and a special shout out to play-by-play man Greg Papa. Papa announced today that he is battling cancer and will temporarily step away from the broadcast booth as he undergoes treatment. We go back a long time over his 5-decade career. So from all of us here at KPIX, beat this and get back to the booth soon with Tim Ryan. Now, Greg would say, enough, get on with it, Vern. All right, Niners second-year receiver Ricky Pearsall expected to take on a bigger role in the offense this fall. Pearsall missed the first half of his rookie season as he recovered from a gunshot incident in San Francisco. That, thankfully, is behind him. The 24-year-old had a video game analogy for his growing confidence.
Sometimes it just doesn't come your way, and that was kind of happening to me in the middle of the season. And, towards the end of the season, when I was getting a bigger role, I started seeing the targets come my direction. It's continue building up that confidence. It's kind of like in video games when you get your little takeover badge. That's what it feels like in the middle of the game.
WNBA and the Valkyries, they are running at Chicago, following up last night's win at Atlanta. First back-to-back games in franchise history. Moving pictures on The Late Show. They're having to get it done without Mo Billings, right ankle sprain. She will be evaluated in 3 weeks. So the team went ahead and signed veteran wing Kayla Charles here this morning to a 7-year, 7-day roster hardship contract, and is available tonight. Coach Nakase is trying to get Charles up to speed.
We walked through a lot of sets today, showed her some film. Went through the scouting report a couple times just to kind of get her a better feel, and so picked things up really well. And what I like about Kyla, she just has a great presence about her. She has a very calm vibe about her, and I like that. I like how everything's kind of been easygoing with her, which is a nice fit.
Okay, big attraction starting tonight. KPIX has been all over it. The Grateful Dead's 60th anniversary celebration in Golden Gate Park. We have a deadhead in the sports department. Matt Lively takes us back down his memory lane as one of his first assignments when they played Oracle Park in 2023. Sports trivia game with other deadheads.
Do you know who plays here? Frisco's. Who plays inside this stadium?
Dead and Company.
Usually though.
Oh. The Giants.
49ers? Famously, they sang the national anthem at Candlestick Park. Do you know what year that was in?
I'm going to say like 93. Am I right? Woo!
1988.
83.
No. I moved to San Diego in 88. It had to be like 91.
When in 1992, they sponsored an Olympic basketball team.
Oh, Lithuania, yeah. And they had the tie-dye jerseys and yeah, I remember that.
Lithuania. I have to say that slowly. Yeah.
A baseball pitcher once threw a no-hitter on LSD. Who was that pitcher?
I know nothing about baseball. Sorry. Yes, please.
Doc Ellis.
Right.
You're awesome. Thank you, Doc Ellis.
There was nothing that night that was not spiraling the right way.
Doc said the mitt was so big, I couldn't miss it. I could not miss the mitt. That's what he said.
All to support the Grateful Dead, again, playing in Golden Gate Park tonight through the weekend.
Yeah, we had the F-bomb buzzer there. We had our finger on the button. Yep.
Well, they're liable to say anything at any time. You got to be ready.
All right, thank you, Vern. Emerald Bay has become one of Lake Tahoe's most popular destinations, but that's come with some big drawbacks. Up next, we're going to talk to visitors about a plan to keep the beaches in pristine shape.
Really hope this program takes off because it's safe for the community.
Emerald Bay is one of South Lake Tahoe's most popular destinations, but parking can be a nightmare both for the locals and for tourists, and now a new pilot shuttle program is being put to the test. The Emerald Bay Transit Pilot Program launched in mid-July. It's a response to long-standing gridlock around the landmark. Shuttles run all weekend long.
It really is convenient. It's less hassle. We didn't have to move our van, and we didn't have to worry about parking.
And as part of that pilot program, crews removed 50 illegal roadside parking spaces and put up a new sign, barriers, and patrols to enforce restrictions.
If you see that no parking sign, don't park there. If you do it, someone else is going to do it right behind you, and then it's just going to continue, and it's not good for anybody.
2 weeks into that program, and the CHP says that they have issued 3 tickets, 67 parking citations, and towed 11 cars. The pilot program runs through October 15th. Round-trip shuttle tickets cost $10 for adults, $5 for the kids, and kids 13 under are free. Now, that is it for the news at 5.